I've heard people say that Brazilian teams oftentimes overperform in Brazilian events, especially like Rio, and that seems to have been true for Furia, but this Rio isn't about Brazilian teams overperforming, it's about nothing making any sense. So to begin with, FaZe lose to Furia. Well, it's FaZe. I mean, FaZe have been struggling recently. None of their players fragged out. It's a BO1 at the beginning of an event. That's not usually a big deal. Plenty of teams lose that. You know, we follow that up. Liquid beat Complexity. That's normal. Vitality destroy 9Z. That's what you're expecting. And then Eternal Fire lose to Astralis right after Astralis said they haven't had almost any practice because their entire team has been sick. Okay, well, I mean, Astralis has some really good individuals, and Eternal Fire, maybe it was a fluke, right? Maybe the recent performances aren't gonna hold up. And then G2 go on to lose to Heroic after winning Blast. Well, that's not really what you're expecting, but okay, Tez has just played like he's the best player in the world. Sometimes, you know, it's a best of one, and you have someone just pops off, and that's just gonna happen once in a while, especially, I mean, Nico had a bad game. It's just gonna happen. And then VP lose to Mongols, which is like back on track, kind of. I mean, VP has just looked abysmal recently. They haven't been able to do anything. Jame, 9-16, really bad game. We're kind of expecting that. Mongols beat Eternal Fire, which again is somewhat surprising because Mongols have been on a massive downswing and Eternal Fire have been on a massive upswing. But yeah, again, maybe Eternal Fire they're kind of on a downswing. They're just not doing very well. And then Furia beats Maus. Okay, well, maybe Furia, this is I Am Rio. Furia's having a great event. K Serato's popping off like he's the best player in the world. Maus have been really struggling recently. Not the end of the world. It's all odd. And then we're back on track again. Vitality, 2-0 the Mongols. I mean, the games were close. It could have, Vitality was struggling, but it's back on track. And then G2 get 2-0'd by Eternal Fire. What? The G2 pick up 10 rounds in 2 maps against Eternal Fire. Nico records his worst ever LAN rating in CS2 on Anubis with a 0.31. Nico records his worst ever rating at an event. What is going on? Then Heroic 2-0 Astralis, which I guess kind of makes sense just based on these results, but at the same time, Astralis poached the 3 best players essentially from Heroic. How are they supposed to 2-0 them this convincingly, especially because Tezes goes from being the best player ever when he beats G2 to being the worst player on the team. And then the Mongols 2-1 Eternal Fire. I thought Eternal Fire just 2-0 G2. What happened? And they got dominated on the 2 maps they lost. They picked up 6 rounds other than Mirage. They picked up 6 rounds. Keep in mind, Eternal Fire 13-4 G2 on Anubis. And then they get 13-2'd by the Mongols. Then Vitality get 2-0'd by Heroic. And Tessus is back to playing like he's the best player in the world. Only 2 players on Vitality got a positive rating, above 1.0 rating. Only 1 player had a positive KD, and that was Zywoo by +1. What is happening? What is going on? Not only that, but this is Anubis where Vitality is possibly the best team in the world. They probably are the best team in the world on Anubis. Like, Liquid is really strong on Anubis. I think Liquid has lost to Vitality on Anubis. Vitality's the best. They got 13-5'd. Starting on CT side, I guess, but they got 13-5'd? Really? Okay. Well, and then Furia 2-0 Na'Vi? What? The results just keep getting crazier. This event doesn't make any sense. And the clips from this event. Oh my God. What is going on in this event? Like, how about this clip? Where Twists notice someone's glove in the middle of a round to know it's a B stack.
It's red gloves. It's not one of the B players.
Have you ever seen this before? And what in the actual fuck is this 3K from Yimpat? What is this? And then back to the Na'Vi Furia game. If I scroll down for a second here, Wonderful is the only positively rated player on Na'Vi in this game. The only one. Na'Vi didn't pick Nuke. Nuke is like usually a solid enough map for Na'Vi. They're not perfect on it, but you expect them to win it. And here's the craziest part. Furia, who has looked like absolute trash for the last 3 months, looks good. It's not even like Na'Vi played like shit. Although, I mean, their players didn't frag well, but there was a ton of clips of Furia just being a really good team. When did that happen? I mean, and Skulls is playing amazing. Skulls on Liquid was one of the worst kill per round players on gun rounds in the pro scene. What's going on? How is he suddenly destroying people? And then at the end of the day, I almost didn't even include this one. Keep in mind who Maus lost to. Maus beat Complexity, which they're almost always going to beat. They barely beat Pain, 13-11. They lost to Furia, and then they 2-1 FaZe. But the way this went down is even crazier. FaZe was down 12-9 on Mirage. The game was over. The game was over. I tuned out. And then I come back and it's map 3, and somehow, starting on T side map 3, Maus pick up 6 rounds, and then they literally almost shut out FaZe on the second half. They only give up a round once they're already up 12-6. That's their first round loss. And I didn't even mention some of the results in the middle, like Complexity nearly losing to Imperial. I mean, they could have lost 2-0 to Imperial. It actually would have been very reasonable. They had to win Imperial's map pick. And 9Z nearly beat Virtus Pro, which I thought that makes sense because Virtus Pro sucks. That actually adds up. But then Virtus Pro go on to 2-0 Astralis and they 2-0 Mongols as if they didn't nearly lose to 9Z. And I guess 9Z is a solid team. I don't want to take credit away from 9Z. It's just such an unknown name, I guess, that I'm underrating them just based off the name. But what about this one? Na'Vi versus Liquid. Liquid 13-4 them on Inferno. And then on Ancient, they get destroyed to begin with. Map 3, Liquid is down 8-1. And then somehow, they not only go down 8-1, they go down 11-5 after losing CT Pistol, and then they somehow bring it to 11-11. They bring it to 11-11. And then I think Wonderful has like a 1v3, and then Na'Vi closed it out 13-11. Liquid almost beat Na'Vi. They almost 2-1 Na'Vi after a 13-4 on Inferno. And guess what that means? That means they're going to get 2-0'd by FaZe, losing 13-6 and 13-7 on Inferno as well. They played Inferno, they beat Na'Vi 13-4, lost to FaZe 13-6. What is going on in this event? I don't even understand. Find me an event with more ridiculous results than this. I bet there was one, and I bet it was crazy, but this is wild. I've literally had people tell me they stopped watching because the results feel like they're picked out of a random number generator.